making your way in the world today, you really need a pod. Why don't you put your headphones in and give this one a shot? Wouldn't you like to just listen away and go to a place where everybody knows who you are? Listen to two guys brew, ha ha. Cold Street Brewery and Full Buddy Cast, two of the greatest names. Why don't you go and listen to this episode? All right, well, we got another episode of Brew, ha ha. Got Cold Street Brewery legend, owner, the man, legend, the guy running around everywhere doing what he needs to do to serve you, serve local, Sean McDonald.
Hello.
And then we got Full Buddy Cast, me, Travis. And what we do in this type of a podcast, this episode, what you're going to hear about is mostly beer-related type topics, brewery type things. And then we're going to throw in some things that kind of like bring us together because we live in the same town. I forgot, is it 1627?
1627 Cole Street.
There we go. There we go. 1627 Cole Street at the old Courier Herald building. Oh, and the current one.
Yep.
You'll see that's the newspaper, the local newspaper. So, without further ado, I need to get some beer in me. So
for sure.
So what's the beer of the week? What are we drinking right now?
We're going to drink the Amber. This is a good baseline beer.
Is this Amber too? I'm getting ahead of myself.
Sorry, got to pour myself first because
that's okay. Hey, let's get a little. Would you pour mine and I can just get this out?
Oh, yeah.
That sounded delicious.
Better than the
All right, so I'm going to taste this real quick. Now, we're drinking the what again? Sorry?
This is the Amber.
Give me a little background on it.
So Amber is kind of one of your baseline beers. It's got a nice caramel flavor to it. It does have a little hoppy finish, and that's what balances out the sweetness from that caramel. It's a caramel malt, so they actually take the malt and roast it really lightly, but then they turn it very frequently in it, so it caramelizes it, all the sweetness on the surface of it. So it's really good, even just to eat. Like when I brew this beer, I grab a handful of that grain and like throw it in my mouth like it's peanuts. You know, it's really
good stuff.
Really good.
I'm telling you, this may be my new favorite. I love the double IPA, but this is tasty.
Yeah, this is a great summertime one. Actually, this is a good year-round one. Honestly, most of the time when somebody comes and asks for like a food pairing, I'll throw almost anything at an Amber. Because of the hoppiness on the finish, it's not a really hoppy, but a decent hoppy. It really cuts down on anything spicy. But then that caramel beginning is also really good with any type of, like really plain, like a stew or something like that. So it like flavors up that stew.
So I feel like this is like, you could drink this watching football games. You could drink this barbecuing. Yeah. You can drink this pretty much any time.
Yep. That's why it's a good baseline year-round beer.
It's so good.
Yep.
Now, when do you sell this the most, would you say?
Probably like the early fall. So we're going into the fall. That's why I brought it back out. I'm also going to have what I call a Hawk Fest, which is my Oktoberfest.
Nice. Okay.
It's kind of a little closer to the Amber. Oktoberfest is normally a lager, which takes longer to brew. I've switched over and I take the same recipe as a lager, but I use an ale yeast, and it comes out closer to an Amber. They're kind of related. So
yeah.
But
all right.
That's why I bring the two out together so you can go side by side and compare.
Okay.
Like which one's
it's good.
Better. Yeah.
I'm down. I'm about to drink this the rest of the fall. Actually, I'm looking forward to watching some Monday Night Football and some Thursday Night Football on my couch and just drinking this.
Oh yeah, that starts this week, huh?
Yeah. I feel like you're a name guy. I feel like you're good with the names, and like this beer, and what else? I mean,
I have this, that,
yeah,
a different IPA.
And then this is the big name, the big reveal. Everyone, drum roll, please. What is this? What's the Amber beer that you have? What's it called?
Amber.
Okay, there we go. I like it, Amber. And a shout out. I'm going to give a shout out to Amber Keating, who's on the Enum Claw discussion board. She is a complete lunatic, and she's funny, and I enjoy her. But the fun thing is I did not know that she had a sister named Amanda, and I went to go tag her at one point as Amber. But I went to go tag Amber in like a comment, and I accidentally got Amanda in there. So this, like, her younger sister had no, like, who is this guy? Anyway, so now the joke is that anytime I want to, like, tag Amber in something on the Enum Claw discussion board, Gazette, sorry, I will put Amanda in there, who will then laugh.
And then tag her sister.
And then Amber, she had a birthday, and I got sent this message where this, like, one of their friends, family friends, is singing to her happy birthday, to, you know, just like nice and beautiful, and then got to happy birthday, dear Amanda.
Nice.
So I'm starting a revolution. I'm getting her back for all the terrible things she's done to my page, but it's great to be on there. By the way, if you are out there listening and you have a Facebook, go hit up Enum Claw Discussion Board Gazette. You will see all... I know that Sean is very good to advertise on there, too. So you'll be able to see...
all my events and
all the events, what's going on. Hey, it's Taco Tuesday to fish and chips. I don't know if you guys are still doing fish and chips.
I have a special going on right now. Starting this Tuesday and the next 3 Tuesdays, we buy your first taco on Taco Tuesdays.
Really?
Taco Tuesday from El Camino.
Yeah, we were there.
Don't know their address, but they're right off of Griffin.
They're right off of Griffin. We were there for on that Tuesday night for the Holler with Hollenbeck live.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
At your at Cole Street.
Yeah, everybody was grubbing on them.
Yeah.
They got soft street tacos, and then they got those hard tacos. Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Good. Yeah.
It is good stuff. My daughter, you know, she works next door. She works at the Rainier there. She says, "Oh, you're having the guy over that's he's the guy with the hat with the beard and the mask, and he's just always running around." I'm like, "Yeah, that's him. Yeah. That's who we're having over."
Yep. That's me.
I feel like you should have a cape or something made that you just Superman.
Yeah, I know. Actually, it's on that same subject. You know, a lot of people ask me about my step count, and they're like, "Well, where are you wearing one of those? What's that thing called? One of those pedometers or one of those things that everybody has?"
Yeah,
I don't have one of those things.
No, you don't need one of those things.
I'm like, I don't know. I walk a lot. Sure.
Yeah.
Or am I tired at the end of the day? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I care how many?
No.
No.
How did you? Were you able to? Oh, by the way, you have Facebook. Also, not only do that, join the Enum Claw Gazette. Also,
Cole Street.
Go
Brewery.
to Cole Street Brewery, and actually, you could probably even like the page and see all the stuff that's going on there as well.
Yeah, it'll all pop up. Yeah.
So go hit that up. Hit Full Body Cast too. So were you able to enjoy the Hollin' with Hollenbeck live show? Like, were you
great.
running around?
You know, it was kind of a mediocre for food runs, which was good. You know. Yeah, it was great having a bunch of people.
I thought you were going to say just, it's pretty mediocre.
No,
leave it at that.
The event was good. Just the food runs, it wasn't that much food going. That was good. I brought in Chris that night too, so I mean, I have backup help.
Chris
Shout out Chris Truly for he volunteers for me.
Yeah. And then we had people that came that I haven't met before. There was a Cassie and a Johanna.
Oh, yeah.
Never met them, and they listen.
Yeah. They hit me up earlier, like asking about the food, and yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And then we had a surprise guest. We did not know they were going to be a surprise guest, but the hog dog.
The hog dog.
The hog dog came through, and he makes things interesting. Let's just say that.
He does. I've known Dave Hauge for a long time.
Yeah.
He was a regular and one of my VIP members when I first opened. He's been in and out of my brewery. Unfortunately, he was only the second person to ever get booted.
He was 86th, huh?
But we've come to terms and brought him back in.
That's good. Reconciliation.
Yeah. He's a fun guy. He supports local.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't believe. Yeah. He's always helping as much as he can. He did that carving that's out in front of City Hall. Says, Enum Claw Strong. He does a lot of wood carvings. Yeah.
Yeah, he seems like a very interesting guy. I had one person that messaged me and said, hey, we honestly were walking in to go join, and then we saw Hog Dog, and and they knew it was Dave, and they go, yeah, we're not biggest fans of Dave, so we kind of like left.
There was a funny thing. So one of my customers, he's a pretty regular customer, and he listens. He found your Full Buddy through me.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Right, and
I
so
like that.
And he was sitting at a table, and then Dave sat down next to him, and he's like, oh, yep. He had to move because he didn't want that attention. He just wanted to be in the back and just enjoy the show.
Did he stay the whole time?
He stayed most of the time. He cut out a little early, I think. But.
There was a guy that had his back to us that was very quiet. I thought maybe we were kind of like interrupting his feng shui of life because he was again back to us, facing where Hog Dog was sitting at that table. I think he had his legs crossed, reading a book, maybe on his phone or whatever.
Oh, yeah. No, that guy was out of town guy.
Yeah, was he?
He just came in and found the brewery, and actually he was really impressed with the live podcast. He's like, oh, do you guys do this often? I might have to come back in town. I think he was from Issaquah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, all right. I like that. Because he hadn't said one thing, and in the show, he's bringing people up left and right, talking to people, putting a microphone in their face, and Mark Herbert Schmidt went up there and he said, hey, we should do, and this is kind of like I know this is the brouhaha. We kind of keep this very family friendly in a sense, not too crazy. I don't know if we have or not. I can't remember.
I work in an adult environment.
Yeah, okay.
So
right.
If I swear, I swear.
so the Mark said, hey, what movies, let's come up with movie titles that you could, regular movie titles that we have out there that you would use that would be double as an adult movie. That guy hadn't said anything the entire time. And then as soon as that hit, I think he threw out like Deep Impact or something like that. Or he said like Titanic or Big. I couldn't remember exactly what he said. It was like, whoa, this guy hasn't said a word the entire time. And then he throws that out there. It was pretty funny. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So he was a newbie, huh?
Yeah.
Right on. I like that.
Might turn into a return.
Yeah, we may have to do it again.
Hey, that's the beauty of a community brewery. You come in as strangers. I don't have any TVs or anything to distract you, and then you start chatting with the neighbor, and guess what? You turn into friends. That's
a good point. That is a great point. So with that, if you come in, we're going to go straight to our rant, okay?
Oh, yeah, okay. So obviously the COVID thing has been really tough for a lot of small businesses. I just wanted to throw out this whole face mask crap. Quite honestly, hands down, I don't give a shit either way. I just need money, and I feel like every business feels the same way. It's really tough because America in general is divided 50-50. 50% care about the mask and 50% don't care about the mask. And me as a business owner, I don't care either way. I will try to cater for either one of you.
Right.
The tough thing, especially with the whole social media, is getting tagged or getting, complaints.
Someone taking a picture.
And complaining about it. And I really apologize that I'm not living up to your expectations, but at the same time, it's really difficult to do that. With everything, the rules changing, I've got a couple complaints too that I'm not following the rules. Like a lot of the rules change weekly. Sometimes like last week.
Oh yeah.
The food rule changed 3 times. It changed on Wednesday and then again Thursday and Friday. So 3 times it got changed in 3 days. Like I can't keep up with that.
Right.
I'm trying to do too many things at once. With the mask thing, I just say come as you are. And
right.
I mean, everybody's just got to get along and figure out, how to do that.
Yeah. I throw the mask on just to prefer, when I walk in. Like, I feel like to walk in, people, and then when it goes sit down, take it off, right?
Yeah.
So I gotta drink the beer somehow. And
when you're walking around for the bathrooms, you got to put it on and that sort of thing.
And I appreciated you. I feel like you do I don't know if you do it in your sleep now, where you just kind of know how to like maybe you
throw it up and twist it around.
Throw it up, get it on, then go out and go get something and come back and then.
Yeah, I've even gotten able to do it one-handed, which is sometimes tough. I don't know if anybody knows. I have a pretty decent-sized beard, so I have a long mask.
Oh, okay.
And so I have to really pull it up and then twist it around the back of my head. So
you're holding food and you're whipping around the mask at the same time, or bringing plates back and doing all that too.
Yeah,
well, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Has anyone thrown a tip your way yet? I was always curious on that. Has anyone, if you brought food?
Oh yeah.
Throw a little bit of a tip.
Yeah, well, so the other thing with the food is, obviously COVID, everybody's struggling. The restaurants are struggling. Support local, anytime you can. So I need food in order to stay open indoors.
Right.
So I'm working with the restaurants, and basically, they're at 50% capacity, so they aren't really at their full potential either. So I'm throwing them business. Everything you order from me, there's no markup. It's the same price as what you would pay over there. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the night, I go in and I tip out 20%. So every night they get just as much as if they were selling it.
Right on.
So
cool.
So getting tips too.
So you're getting tips and giving back too.
Yep,
that's cool.
always,
that's good. That's awesome. So face mask rant is
sure.
Just wear it or don't wear it. Just get on down and support local.
Just support local.
Yeah.
100%. Keep it local. Every local business right now needs it really
especially
badly.
as we're heading into the fall winter months.
That's the other thing. We're trying all our business. We're trying to stock up because a lot of these rules have to do with outdoor. As soon as it rains, people aren't going to be outdoor,
right?
And then we're going to be screwed. So.
Can you guys have those not tiki things, but those heater, those space propane heater things?
So every week, everybody in the downtown corridor, at least, and then a couple of the other businesses, we have a business meeting. So this whole last month of August, every week we have a different meeting. And we're trying to discuss different ways, different events we can do going into the fall, going into the winter, how we can work together to try and attract people, and then how to keep people safe, and then and work with the weather. We're working on putting a bigger tent that we can have kind of a heating area in it. Right. The drawback is with the rules with tents, you can only have 2 walls on it. So it's really difficult. We can get a heater, but you have to be right on top of it to stay warm.
We're known for a windy area.
Yeah.
So we know that's coming a little bit.
Yeah. And then the discussion is if you have kind of a really good summer where you didn't have a lot of weather, then you have a really bad winter where you have a lot of weather. So
we kind of feel like that might be brewing a little bit.
Yeah, and and with all the COVID thing, that's not a good thing for the businesses.
Well, speaking of events, so thank you. You're good. Appreciate you. Oh, this amber's so delicious. I drank it all. I had to have them fill me up. So Sundays on Cole got
extended, and like I had said in your thing.
Yeah, you did.
To the 27th.
I had a lot of people saying, "Oh no, it's just Labor Day weekend, maybe the weekend after."
Yeah,
but all the way through September 27th.
You got to talk to the brewmaster or the brewer.
I'm impressed.
We're tapped into
that beard is a wizard's beer or beard.
Yeah. So Sundays on Cole is going to continue all the way till the 27th of September. And the good thing about this time of year is it's hard to get vendors because there's so many farmers markets, other places for them to go. This time of year it starts narrowing down. A lot of those farmers markets are shutting down. So the last 3 weeks we've had several new vendors. I want to say 7 new vendors a week, on top of the already 15 to 20 that are there. So
that's great.
Yeah. So that's it's cool. You can find different stuff. Come down, support local,
eat. Are the hours?
Make it a day of it.
Are they staying the same? 11 to 4, right?
Yeah,
11 to 4?
11 to 5.
11 to 5.
Well, it's It's 11 to 4, but
it can bleed into 5.
Yeah,
gotcha. All right, well that's cool. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Did that? If you guys want to check that out, it's on Take Back Your Life. We did a video, me and Bobby, and then we stopped in and talked to Sean for a little bit. So if you're a little curious on you've never been down here before, maybe you're not local, maybe you are listening from Seattle or listening, shout out to Eric Madrid, Maple Valley, and you've just never been to Cole Street, you get to see a little bit of what it looks like inside Cole Street. And also I think we stopped also by Bordeaux Wine Bar. We stopped by different booths and stuff like that. So tons of local food to choose from as well. Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're looking for something, then you can definitely find what you're looking for, from Italian food to burgers and fries to
steaks and
Mexican
nachos, food,
pizza, the works. So if you're looking for something to eat, we have it.
Yep.
So
yeah, we're really lucky with our downtown Cole Street. We have a wide variety of food, great restaurants. That's why a lot of, and all family owned restaurants. We don't have chain restaurants. I mean, out on 410 we have the McDonald's and the Jack in the Box, but in town, no chain restaurants. They're all family owned restaurants.
Delicious food too. Well, let's get back to the brouhaha, the brew part of brouhaha. Let's talk about the origin of beer.
Yeah, so we took a little time off, and I thought we should do a little reset on the beer.
Okay, I like that.
Brouhaha, got to get some informational on the beer. Yeah, so it's always an argument which one came first, wine or beer.
Ooh.
Really, they kind of came together. So originally, everybody, when the humans were the race was first beginning, they were all nomads. They were going from land to land, basically getting pushed around by the seasons, right? When it comes winter, they didn't want to hang out, so they keep moving on, trying to get away from that.
Really?
Well, the problem with that is when you go from one environment to another,
right.
Humans need water, and water was poison, right? That's why there's always that joke, like, drink the beer because beer's safe. Because that came back from way, way olden times. It wasn't safe. So you'd pick some type of fruit, or you'd pick grains and put them in some type of vessel, and then it would rain or some type of liquid would get in there. And because of, just the environment, a natural fermentation would happen. And then basically that water would turn into beer or turn into wine. And then they'd, drink it, and it'd be safe. That's the safest thing that they could drink.
Really?
Yeah. So
everyone else is like, yeah.
The argument would be which one came first, but really they came about the same time, But then again, when the nomads stopped and started putting up roots, so they started planting what they had gathered, and then started brewing from there. The next step of the evolution would be, and this is a really big one that maybe not a lot of people know, is the pyramids would not have been built without beer.
How so?
So the pyramids were built by slaves. Pretty much everybody knows that, like millions and millions of slaves. So what would happen is they had to feed their slaves. No matter what, you have to feed your workforce. So they had these big, basically bread factories, and they would take grains. They knew how to make bread, and it's super hot desert. So they would take this grain and they'd throw it in these big they'd make them into like loaves of bread all cut up, and they'd throw this in there, and then they'd add whatever small amount of water they had, because it's the desert, so they spread it out. And basically in the sun, then it kind of makes it boil, and then it would kind of ferment, and then they just truck the slaves through, and the slaves would pick up that kind of just like a handful, and then
a gloop.
Yeah. But it's the simplest type of beer, because they got their liquid and their grain all at the same time. And then, and then the slaves, of course, made all those huge ass pyramids. And
yeah. Is that why they got the pyramid ale and this and that? Or is that just a...
No, that's just a company name.
Keep going. Yeah. I'm jotting down this. This is good. Is there going to be a test later? Like, am I going to have to multiple choice this?
No, yeah, of course.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And then, from that point on, then, obviously Britain was kind of founded, and then it grew up, the strong ale versus weak ale. And, that's where the castles started becoming. Oh, and then your public house. So everybody talks about a pub. So a public house was basically where all the workers of the town would go. And at that time, then it turned into actually, the maidens were the ones that were making it, because all the guys would be out working in the fields. And so the females were actually the ones making the beer in the castles, the side place where all the slaves would go, or all the worker bees would go, public house.
So and beer just would then travel throughout, probably on ships, I'm guessing. I want to know that on the next thing. How did people... Like, how much would you need to bring with you on these voyages if you're going to feed or all these sailors, and you'd have to have like tons.
The UK, well, the British, they started like paying the way that they would pay their sailors to go from point A to point B to battle or whatever. Part of their wage was actually paid in ale, so they would have to stockpile whole kegs of beer on their boat. And that's how the Indian Pale Ale was started, because to keep it fresh, basically they'd put the hops in there to just float on the surface, so that the oxygen didn't oxygenate the beer and then make the beer go sour.
Okay.
The sailors actually would revolt. That's how kind of the MS Bounty and that sort of that whole story started. Was basically their ale went bad and they wanted to turn back, but the captain didn't, had his course,
right?
And so they revolted and overthrow, and then went back, and they, landed on whatever, Jamaica or one of those, whatever Caribbean islands.
Sure.
And then then they, discovered rum, and that's how the rum thing
okay.
started.
And that became the pirate, and everyone's drinking rum.
That's a whole different story.
Okay. Yeah. I like this origin of beer stuff. This is good. This is good stuff. I feel like you could just sit and talk forever about some of this stuff.
Yeah.
You could.
Yeah.
You could. I got a question, though, for you. It's a local,
I like questions.
It's a local question. When I bought a house in Enumclaw here, about how old came? About 12 years ago. It's a little house over on Kibler Avenue. But in the back, there was a grapevine. And so it was planted there many years ago. So it had grown and grown and grown. And it was... I was expecting when I got the grapes, I thought it would be like a grocery store grape. So it was the first time I go out there.
Were they green or were they purple?
They were purple.
Oh, okay.
And so I was thinking to myself, okay.
Were they small or large?
They were, well, at the very beginning of the summer, they were small.
But they grew to be decent.
But they grew to be decent sized.
Okay.
And they all had seeds, obviously.
Sure.
So here's me thinking I'm going to bite into this like grocery store, summer day. I actually had blueberries next to it kind of. So that was, blueberries. Oh, this tastes good. I'm going to go to move these grapes. And I took a bite. And the two things that kind of jumped out at me was the texture. It was like a rough outside.
Yeah.
Not like something you just...
The skin
the skin was so chewy.
Yep.
And it was super sour. Like, it was like, oh my goodness. It was so sour. And it was probably, July, August. Now, I had an old timer in the back. He's passed away, but he would come out. He had like this disease where it ate away his muscles and eventually passed from it. But he would always be out back in the alley in his motorized scooter. And so we would talk about, what this used to be, what that used to be. He grew up in Enumclaw. And one of the things that he talked about, the wine grapes he said I had. Those are wine grapes. And you got to wait till the first freeze.
Yeah, you got to get good frost, not freeze, good frost.
Okay.
Good solid frost.
Okay.
Maybe 2 frosts.
Yes. Keep going. I want to hear all of this.
That gives
right
a nice,
now.
So with those grapes, you're not actually, so what you're thinking is that you want the juice. Like everybody thinks that the juice comes from it. Actually, the skins on that is where you're getting it. Basically, you're going to wait till a good frost so it hardens up that skin. And then the skin will peel off a little bit better. Like it flips inside out when you go to press it. And then you let it sit on the skins. And again, there's yeast everywhere. There's always yeast.
You got to put yeast in there.
No.
Oh.
So in our environment, there's yeast everywhere, always.
Okay.
With berries and grapes, it's on the skins. So basically, that's why you're letting it sit on the skin so it kicks off its own natural yeast. Now, that being said, it's not always the strongest yeast, and using some type of actual wine yeast or something would actually help better because it'll be stronger and you don't have to worry about your going into vinegar. But that being said, that's why I asked about the size of the grapes. A lot of times wine grapes are much smaller grapes than,
right.
like what you get at the stores are pretty huge plump grapes.
Oh yeah, no, they were never that big.
Yeah.
But they would get obviously more full as the
and then
summer went on.
If you were to grab them and you pop them and flip them inside out, like all the meat sticks to the inside of the skin. And that's where you wait till the frost, because then it basically kind of like, I don't know, like the frost on a window where it frosts up and then you can kind of scrape it off. It's kind of the same thing. It'll frost that inside and sticks to the skin, but then you can peel it off and you take all that.
So when do you start picking those things? Like when do they start going bad? Like what? Like does it take like 4, 5, 6, 7 frosts?
Well, I wouldn't go that far. The farther into the frost you go, the less amount of flavor you'll get out of it.
Yeah, he said the sugars, or is it the sugars that would be drawn out by that frost?
Yeah, because so there's an old Alaskan theory of how you make alcohol is basically you freeze anything and you just keep freezing it that has sugar, and it'll draw out that sugar and keep concentrating it until you have a harder alcohol. So like the moonshine way is you get a little fermented beer, and then you just put it outside and you freeze it. Then you chip away. As soon as it's solid frozen, you chip away a hole in the middle. You pour a little bit more beer in there. You stick it outside. You let it freeze again. Then you bash it, and then you add a little bit more, and you just keep doing that over and over and over again, and then until your whole entire glass is like solid frozen beer. And then you go in and thaw it out, and it's not going to be beer. It's going to be, higher proof. It's not going to be like your moonshine, but it's going to be pretty high proof. That's the Alaska theory. So it's the same theory with the grapes. But more or less, you'll get to a certain point where it'll be too frozen, where you can't really, concentrate too much, where you won't get as much out of it.
Yeah.
Because each time you do that, you also lose an amount, like chipping out the ice.
I'm sure.
It keeps shrinking.
Right.
Cold contracts. Smaller.
And let me tell you guys this. Let me give you guys the picture of what this is like to eat one of these grapes. It's like kind of like burning your marshmallow a little bit. I not burning it, but just like, where you can coat it, get that nice brown and crisp to it, and you kind of pull that off, and in the middle is like a smaller, like juicier, I guess, stickier marshmallow. That's exactly what it is like. You would think that, oh man, I'm gonna eat this thing like the grocery store, and it's just gonna be full of juice and flavor and water and boom, and it really isn't. And you kind of get used to it after a while, though. You start popping them in your mouth, and you kind of like, at first you're like, ooh, this isn't what I really was looking for. Then after a while, you're like, I need those. In fact, when we finally sold the house, my kids that would eat these during like the fall and late summer, they would be like that. Like even now, they're like, "Can we go knock on their door and see if we can grab a couple?"
Yeah.
Because
finding good wine grapes was pretty tough.
Yeah,
that's right. Angry Joe's got some good ones too. And I go over there and ask him for his, and yeah, I made some good.
Really?
Home batches, yeah.
So let's just say that I'm like, hey, I want to do this. I've got these wine grapes that are growing up in my neighbor's house, or I got these wine grapes that are growing, at my parents' house, or even my own house. I have no clue. What do I need to do to like make a bottle of wine that I kind of want to make for myself and try it out?
Well, you just need a super clean. Cleanliness is next to godliness.
Yes.
Anytime you're fermenting anything. But you need just some type of clean vessel, and then you need some type of way to seal it. So the easiest way is just to go online and you get a little percolator thing. You can there's different things, home methods that you can do it, but it's super simple to just order online. They have kind of like a little cork. It's like a rubber cork for the top of a bottle. You can take these growlers, actually, they're perfect size, and pop in the top of that, and then it's got a little bleeder valve on it. And all it is you put a little water in it, and then you put this little bleeder on it. So every time it ferments, it lets the CO2 out, but it does not let oxygen in.
Oh, so it's
oxygen is poison.
So on the cap itself, it has something that comes out that will leak it out what it needs to leak out, but not bring in what needs to be. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah,
cool.
It sits on water, so it's like it floats. And just goes up and down. And then you can order any type of yeast online, super cheap. It's like
so I would
25
need
cents.
to add yeast to these grapes.
The safe answer to that is yes.
Okay.
You don't necessarily have to, but the safe answer is yes.
Okay.
It will work 100% if you add yeast.
Now let's say I have a growler sized I have a growler size that I'm going to brew or whatever, ferment. Mm-hmm. How much grapes are going? Like, am I filling up that halfway, quarter way?
General rule of thumb for anything, any type of fruit is 3 pounds of fruit for 1 gallon of water. So you take 3 pounds, one gallon of water, press it, squeeze it. With grapes, there's some trickiness with grapes because a lot of that flavor comes from the skins. Mm-hmm. But that being said, you don't want the skins in your actual fermenter, because down the road, after you ferment, it's gonna, when you try and empty it out, it's gonna clog up.
Yeah,
and it'll bring some extra flavors and some extra disease in there that you don't want.
So are you popping out the seeds first? Are you like
seeds could come and go. Those are not as big a deal because they're inside, inside the womb. Yeah. So they're kind of protected. It's the skins that have the outside elements.
Do you want the seeds in there, or not the seeds? The skins in there a little bit for.
So what you would want to do is you want to pick the grapes and you want to kind of crush them. so they're popped, right?
Yeah.
So they aren't just little
Just
balloons
sitting there. Yeah.
But then let them sit on the skins for a couple days, and then drain off. Take a little a colander or something and drain off the skins off of the juice. Put the juice into your whatever you're fermenting with.
Okay.
And then add your yeast and go from there.
So am I leaving it out in the sun? Am I keeping it in a
No,
cool,
yeah.
damp place? And what am I?
Well, you want the middle of both of those. You want
Okay.
ambient temperature. So ideally you want, like between 50 and 60 degrees.
Yeah.
So a lot of times like your average closet, where you have your
Sure.
suits, your stupid leisure suits hanging up. throw it in there.
How do you know what my leisure suits? And then you're letting it sit in that growler for about how long?
Yeah, so wine is a little tricky. So like the wine that we buy at the store, that's it's in a fermenter for 6 months, and then it's in a barrel for 6 months.
Yeah.
So obviously you're not going to be buying a barrel for your
Sure.
silly thing.
Right.
But give or take 6 to 8 months. On
Okay.
most wines.
So then, pretty much, if you're doing this in the fall, you're drinking this by late spring, early summer, kind of a thing.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, yeah, early. Yeah, whatever, March, give or take.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
How do I preserve the grapes? Do you freeze them? Like, is there a point where you're...
Well, that would go back to your frost comment.
Exactly.
You don't want to get too frozen because then it'll concentrate it too much that it just kind of breaks it.
And I know that wine is like grown in the plate, or grapes are grown in these areas like California.
So what they do, so I mean, you can
how
order.
do you keep them?
Yeah, so you can order grapes year round. So actually, this is back to my farm experience.
This is what I'm talking about.
All right, so apples, grapes, kind of the same thing. So yeah, funny story. So I know apples personally. So apples you pick in the fall.
Like, do you guys hang out? Like,
yeah.
you guys
personally, yeah, we're on a personal connection. Have been for my whole life, right? I know a lot about apples.
Is Apples in your fantasy football league? I know he is.
He is. So it's funny story. So when you're eating an apple at Safeway or KFC, that apple could have been, most likely it's not from this year for sure. It's probably not from last year. It could be up to 3 years ago. So what they do is they pick all the apples and they put them in bins and they bring it into a big sorting factory, and they sort through what's A grade, which is prime. It sits on the counter perfectly square. It looks all round. There's no blemishes to it. A blemish is super funny because everybody thinks it's like a cut in it or some type of scar. No, it just might not be perfectly round. It might not be perfect. It gets cut down to a B, and it goes all the way down to like E class. It goes from A to E, and they get separated out and put into different bins per their class. And then they get put into big warehouses, and what they do is they suck out all the oxygen and they put CO2 in there. So CO2 just is used kind of how it's used in beer. It sits on top of the material, not allowing oxygen to touch it, because oxygen deteriorates anything. Oxygen is kind of horrible on a lot of different things. So it sits on top of that, and then they also turn the dial down. Now, they don't freeze it, but they turn it down to like a lower temperature, like 47, give or take. So it's not a frozen temperature. It's 45, 47, something like that. And they chill it. So it's a big, huge refrigerator that has no oxygen in it. Like if somebody got locked in there, they would suffocate. Yeah. There's no oxygen in there. And then they keep that. And this idea actually goes back to the New Deal. I don't know how well you were in, like, what was that? I want to say 7th grade.
I want you to just teach me every episode.
Yeah.
Pretend I'm just a baby.
I believe it was Carter or Ford, one or the other, our presidents. No, I take that back. It wasn't. It was Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt started the New Deal.
Okay.
Theodore Roosevelt started the New Deal. Basically, it came after the Great Depression. And part of the problem with the Great Depression is a lot of farms fell off the map because they didn't have any money, right? But farms, obviously, we need food. So the idea was started to protect farms. So anytime you have a horrible crop, the government will subsidize you. So I have 100,000 acres. I should make $50,000. And this year I only made $37,000. The government will actually pay you the difference of that. on the same token, they also, like on bumper years where I have 100,000 acres, I should make $50,000, and I made $100,000, then you give back to the government basically. And so every
you're guaranteed a wage.
Yeah. And with that is the same with the produce. The produce is always guaranteed because they take it and they put it in these big warehouses sort of thing. There's this holdover from year to year because every year is different. You know, our each season is always different.
Right.
So it's to try and level out that playing field so it doesn't go up and down drastically, right? So what they do, so like I said, like a lot of the apples they're eating are from possibly as much as 3 years ago. And the reason being is maybe 3 years ago they had a huge bumper crop where they had way more than they could have sold in 1 year. And so it carried over. But then that next year they had kind of a mediocre year. So then the bumper crop will pass into that. So it's like it's a levels the playing field.
But it makes sure there's always stuff there.
You always have it going.
And you always got it going, yeah.
Now, that being said, this whole COVID thing has kind of put a little...
Really?
That we'll see. But say 3 years from now, we may have some lasting effects from this.
Interesting.
But
I just learned from you.
Yeah, I know. I got off on apples, but grapes are the same way. So a lot of the grapes are put into warehouses, same thing. CO2 added, oxygen's pushed out, and temperatures are dropped, not to a freezing temperature, but to a lower temperature. So there's no aging. Like at the lower temperature, it kind of, everything slows down.
That's so interesting.
Cold, right?
You grow them in the heat and the humid of the greenhouse, whatever. Mm-hmm. You kind of keep, I don't know about those things, but when it comes to produce and flowers and this and that, you kind of get that nice humid, and then to keep them where they're at, you kind of drastically
slow
do the
down,
opposite.
Right? Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's farming. Farming's there's a lot of interesting things that a lot of normal people don't see. It's all the behind the scenes.
Well, Dr. Cole Street, as we call you. It was actually in Craig and Corey's, the Bentley brothers, the Bash brothers, we call them. When it comes to fantasy football, we had a podcast. Go back and listen to it, guys. It accidentally came out as Cole Street Sean, and I meant to put a comma in there. So at Cole Street Sean, but it came out as Cole Street Sean. Is that your nickname? Do you have a nickname that people call you? Is it? Can we dub you as Cole Street Sean?
I don't know. I mean, nobody's called me that, so I don't think anybody's really given me a nickname. So,
well, if we gave you that nickname, like that's marketing, like that.
Yeah,
they'll know immediately.
Cross promoting. Yeah.
Hey, that's Cole Street Sean.
Yep.
No one's ever said that before. They say, "Oh, that's Sean."
Well, that's that guy from Cole Street with the beard.
That's the beard guy.
Yeah,
Cole Street guy. All right. Well, we're gonna jump into another one, but before we do, let's do some shout outs. I'm putting you on the spot. You always got to give that shout out to a few people that you know.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to.
Yes, I've had these. I guys, listen. Wait. As soon as he reached for this thing, I got excited, and here's why. There's nights where I'll meander into Cole Street, and I'll take a beer or two, Sean, and then I'll be hungry, but I don't want a meal. Like I'm not at the meal stage. I've already eaten. I've already ate. Here I want to just like crunch on something. I just want to munch on something. Have a beer, have a little crunch and munch. And so he'll have these kind of scattered around. They come in all sorts of sizes. They're small bags, big bags, medium bags. And I'll tell you this. It is delicious. And I did this 1 year at the King County Fair. I bought beer and I bought... I was in the beer garden.
Blue Barn Kettle Corn.
Kettle Corn. It's a good combo. If you don't do it, do it. Blue Barn Kettle Corn. Enumclaw, Washington. How did you guys get hooked up?
Yeah, so I met them at Sundays on Cole. Yeah,
just randomly, like 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah, we were like neighbors in the But I had a beer garden last year.
Yeah,
and they're right outside my beer garden. I'm like, kettle corn and beer,
good. It's an amazing combo.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to throw a shout out to Blue Barn Kettle Corn, Mary and Mark, and they're pretty awesome people. And they're on Sundays in Cole every Sunday.
Really?
They do a lot of other outside events. You know, they're at the fair, obviously.
Sure.
They didn't have the fair and had a lot of different stuff. But
and
you can always get a bag at my place.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. And they have what type of flavors they got? Like right now, you're munching on what right now? It's like a conglomerate.
This is Chicago Fire, so it has caramel, then it has their cayenne one, and then it's got a regular cheese in it.
So all mixed up together.
Yeah, you get a little spicy one, then you get a sweet one, then you get a really sweet one, then it's like back and forth.
And you're drinking your amber beer from Cole Street, and you're just like, this is delicious.
So when it gets too hot in my mouth, I grab a swig of the amber and cut it down. Put that fire out.
That's a good shout out.
Yeah.
It's a hot shout out. Any other shout outs before we go?
Well, Chris Struley's holding down the shop.
Always and forever. Forever and always. Chris Struley.
I hope so, yeah.
he may have locked up by now.
Yeah.
Maybe he waits like 20 minutes and then he looks out, the coast is clear, and he just shuts things down and just walks out the door.
Nah, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I want to give a shout out to a guy that used to play used to be in Scouts with Eric Madrid.
Edred, yeah.
Edred.
Oh, baby.
So he hit me up today, and we'll talk about this in the next episode, but fantasy football. He invited me to this league, and it's all about drama. It's been going since 2005. You guys have been going since... It's got to be...
Before that.
Yeah.
Well, around then.
Before that, but maybe like a year or two before that.
Like 3 or 4.
Yeah, and so they have some history in there, and you guys have history too. So we're going to talk about fantasy football in the next episode. Sweet. But I want to give a shout out to Eric Madrid. Thanks for hooking it up. Kellen Hall as well. Those two are Patreons. If you guys want to go to Patreon, Full Body Cast, go hit it up. Everyone, thanks for listening. I'm going to go ahead and end this. We're going to jump into the next one. Sean, always a pleasure to have you on here. Real quick, if anyone goes to, and I saw Craig and Carrie do this for their anniversary, they took a picture of themselves and they tagged themselves in it. Did you give them the VIP treatment?
Oh, yeah, I did.
That's what I'm talking about.
I bought them their beers.
Oh, you did?
I've known them for a long time, and quite honestly, I've celebrated, I don't know, like 8 or 9 anniversaries with them. So,
how great would it have been if you're like, hey, listen, I'm buying your beers, but I want to have $1 off or so. Could you go over here and take a picture? But yeah, go check out. Go take a picture of it in front of the Cole Street sign. There's a few of them.
Yeah, stop into Cole Street. We got all kinds of different markers in there. What I like to do is like have people come in and check in different spots, so it kind of your friends see it and they're like, "Whoa, wait a minute, where are you?" I'm like, "I'm at Cole Street." Well, oh, that looks different,
right?
Yeah, that's why
I should start doing that now too.
I have different check-in spots. Check in and you get $1 off your pints that you drink, and then you get 10% off your growler fills. Yep, and we got growlers available for sale if you don't have one.
Post your picture on Facebook, #FullBuddyCast. You don't need to go to Full Buddy Cast and take the picture and post it in there. I like it when you do, but please do it on your own profile or even a community profile and throw it out there. Put the #FullBuddyCast. Take yourself at Cole Street. You get the VIP treatment. And thank you very much for supporting Cole Street Brewery. We love that. And thank you for supporting Full Buddy Cast. We love that too. So everyone, have a great week. Appreciate you, Sean. Anything else to add before we go?
Cheers.
Cheers.